Bang. Hey, Brad, welcome to the Bucket List Life podcast.
G'day, mate. Good to be here. It's long hours, long days at the moment, but still good to be around.
So have you self-isolated? You're in quarantine?
Yeah, we've been in quarantine, self-isolation now going into our third week. And so as you can imagine, we have 5 kids. So 5 kids, 9 companies, self-schooling or homeschooling the 5 kids. It's a lot of fun.
It's great fun, yeah. And how many of those kids still in school? They've been expelled or suspended?
Look, I think 2 parents have been fired for drinking on the job, but
True.
no, look, it's actually been easier than I thought. You know, and I think the advantage is that we do have 5 kids, and therefore there's a co-mingling type thing that you can have the oldest one with the baby or the middle ones with the, they have 4 other people to have relationships with during the day. So that does help.
And with all, and for people that don't know you, your house is basically you can
well,
get
it's
away.
Rather large. Let's just put it that way.
Large. So a kid or 5 could probably go missing, and for a week, and they might turn up a little bit later on in some other room in the house. It is
that has been known to happen. It has been known to happen. But look, I think that like anything, you make the best of the scenario, and we're in a scenario where the world has gone crazy, basically, and with reason. I mean, it's an awful disease. It's claiming lives left, right, and centre. But as we all know, the biggest factor is overwhelm of hospitals. If the hospitals go into overwhelm, then Italy happens, or New York happens, or that sort of thing. We see that as, everyone keeps saying America is awful. America's actually not that bad. New York is awful.
Yeah.
Here in Nevada, we're at very low numbers of anything. In fact, there are hospitals across America where they're actually giving staff furlough, take a few weeks off, because there's no car accidents, there's no motorbike accidents, there's no there's just no accidents happening because everyone's staying at home.
When you've been the founder CEO of Action Coach for 26 years now. You've been through a few of these cycles.
My fourth economic downturn.
Right. What happens? Let's look at mindset. How as business owners, just as people listening and watching this, how can we pre-prepare ourselves, and what have we got to be doing now in your view to come out of this stronger?
Well, first thing you've got to do is understand that all crisis leads to opportunity, all change leads to opportunity. And the opportunity right now, in fact, the economic wealth shift in the next year will be gigantic.
Yeah.
And, every economic shift happens. See, if you look at the cycles, the economic cycles, I use spring, summer, all of that. I use the seasons to describe it. So we had this amazing economic summer from 2012 through 2020, right?
Yeah.
8-year run, highest stock markets, real estate values up, businesses doing the best they've ever done. And if you look at all cycles economically, they're a 7 to 10 year cycle.
Right.
We didn't know what would spin this cycle, but we knew something was going to. It was either going to be a US election win by the Democrats or something else.
Yeah.
And it's something else. Unfortunately, what's happened has been spun totally out of control. And here we are. So fall, normally in the economic cycles, fall is a longer period. Like in 2008, if we just use that as an example, go back to 2000 or back to 93, it's amazing. You can see them. And for someone, with a little bit of grey hair like me, you can see exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
But if we go back to 2008, it took a year for people to debate, are we actually in an economic downturn? Like people debated it for a year. So then it took another year for people to all say yes. And so we had a 2-year fall, a 2-year economic fall. Then we had a 2 to 3 year winter. So in this case, the fall is going to last about 6 months.
Yep.
Okay, maybe 3 months.
A lot shorter. It's been a lot more violent.
So short.
Yeah.
Winter is going to last 3 to 12 months.
Really?
So our economic downturn is going to be all of a year to a year and a half.
Why do you say that? Why just?
Well, it's just experience, mate. Just what I've seen. Because no one's debating this economic downturn.
No,
you can't debate this. This has happened, right?
Yep.
And there's no lag time between when the economic downturn started and when everyone realised it started, type thing.
Yeah.
So then we've got a slight differential in this, in that every government in the world wants us to pull through this, right? Yeah. So, well, maybe not every. Portugal being stupid. A few of the other governments around the world. Turkey can't do anything because they were in an economic free fall before that. Mexico, the guy there is just a complete maniac. He is. He's insane.
What about China?
Look, China, there's a very good chance China will end up having to pay everyone back for all of this. There's a very good chance they will get sued for all of this. I saw the British government looking at it very seriously.
Wow.
So China could end up with a massive bill for this sort of thing. But that's a whole other debate. So we see the economic turn here, and if I look at it, the stock market was 30% off a week and a half ago.
Yep.
Today it's at about 20% off.
Yep. So
you're looking at companies, and this is what we've got to understand. There's 3 different types of companies right now. You've got about 25% of the market that's just shut, right?
Yep.
They just shut their doors. They're beauticians, hairdressers, travel, restaurants. Most restaurants have tried to find hospitality. They're just shut. They're done. They're not trading. They're doing nothing.
Yeah.
Then you got about 40 to 50% in the middle that is like you, like me, where we've pivoted and found a way to make money. We've pivoted to find a methodology to make money in a virtual
going
world.
Online. Yep.
Yeah. And restaurants, like if I look at it, one of my restaurants is shut 100%. It's in the casino. So we can't, there's just nothing we can do. We're just shut. And all we have to do is plan for the reopening. That's what we have to do. We have to plan how are we going to reopen this thing and boom from day one.
Yeah.
Most of my companies are in the pivot phase. So they're in, like with Action Coach, I've had to spin it. You with Bucket List, you've had to spin it to do everything virtual and viral and continue and that sort of thing. I'm kind of lucky with Action Coach in that Action Coach now, business owners who, let me just say, they were a little bit arrogant before when rising tide floats all boats, and they're like, oh, I know what I'm doing. I'm fantastic. I don't need a coach. And now they're like, can you blokes help me right now? And that's definitely a part of it.
Is it the term that you use? Some business owners are fat and happy and have to push it? Or?
Well, that's what happens with economic summer. Everyone gets fat and happy, right? Yeah. You haven't renegotiated your phone contract in 5 years. You haven't renegotiated your photocopier contract in 7 years. You haven't.
Never had to.
Do you know what I mean? And so right now, companies are renegotiating all of those deals and renegotiating their contracts and stuff. Because they can't be fat and happy anymore. They got to slim down.
Yeah.
So we come through this economic cycle and we'll come through winter and we're back in spring. Now there's a chance spring goes very early because the US has elections in November.
Yeah.
And if we come into the US elections in November, I doubt that Donald Trump is going to allow us, our president will not allow us to go into an election being a negative economy. Now, the US has already thrown $2 trillion at this. There's another $2 trillion on the way very soon. And then it looks like they'll throw another $2 trillion at infrastructure works just to keep the country on a even keel. My guess is we are 2 to 4 weeks away from some sort of a treatment protocol. They're very close. There's some in Australia that are very close, some over here that are very close. So the French, the Germans. So everyone's got something that's very close. If they catch it early, there's pretty much a full-on thing with the hydrochloroquine and zinc and Z-Pak, like an antibiotic. But, there's those sorts of things. So from a mental perspective, though, Trav, and that's where you asked me to look at, if you see this as an opportunity, and I guess it's easy for me because this is my fourth time, right? And this is my fourth time riding these waves. As you are a surfer, if I ride this wave the same way I've ridden it before, I do very well. If I try and ride against this wave, I end up crushed. And that's why for the last 4 weeks, all I've done is teach business people how to get through this thing. And,
you've done a whole series on Survive and Thrive, which I've loved watching too. And we'll include the link in here. But the cool thing about, we're not just talking about surviving and battening down the hatches. We're how can we thrive? Given whatever kind of business model that we're in, how can we thrive, and how can we kind of switch our mindset onto thrive mode?
Well, first of all, you have to get through survive.
Yeah.
You have to do that. If you can't get through survive, and that's why in my 10-day training that I just filmed the other day, the first 4 days are all about survive. So 40% of the goal is find a methodology to survive, right? Yeah. And if you can find that methodology to survive, then you can go into thrive mode. Okay. Now it takes a little bit. I'll give you an example. One of our businesses here in Las Vegas is a food truck business. Now the food truck business in spring is our biggest time of the year because all the festivals, all of the big things that we're at, festivals where you're making 2/3 of your income for the year.
Wow.
You're sort of sitting there. Now they're all gone. So we had to spin, we had to pivot, we had to do something different. Now, Ryan, who's my partner in that business, who runs the business, he sent me a text 2 days ago, and this is sort of 2.5 weeks into it. It's working. We're going to get through this. And I think we may come out stronger. It took him 2 weeks to mentally make the leap. Now, he's not ridden the waves before. I've ridden it. And I knew 2 weeks ago when I pivoted him, I sat with every one of my CEOs 2 weeks ago and said, right, what are we doing to pivot? How are we changing? And all of a sudden, he's now got it. I knew 2 weeks ago we're fine. He's like calling me every day. I said, Ryan, I mean, other companies are a little bit more in need of my mental aptitude. Yeah. But it took him 2 weeks. And you don't, if you try and expect yourself to get there within a minute, it's not going to happen.
Well, it's acceptance, isn't it? Acceptance first and acknowledgement of the problem. And then it's like, all right, go into the opportunity mode.
It's one of those things that we all go through the stages of grief or the stages of change, whichever way you want to look at this. There are a lot of people seeing this as grief. Right? And that's unfortunate that they've stepped right through to grief. But here's the thing. It depends on, is there a leader in your world who's pushing you, who's driving you and that sort of thing? And that's where, and maybe, I'm not sure if you've shared with people your story of going through the first few days of this, where you hit that sort of phase of, I don't know, what would you call it? It was, you were in
look, for me,
frozen almost frozen.
Well, as you know, like I've got kind of two main businesses, which is obviously Bucket List Coach, and we're open in 18 countries now, and also my Bucket List Guy business, my speaking business, and that just went.
And the speaking business just disappeared,
just nothing. So now I'm a virtual speaker, whatever the hell that is, but. So no events, no international travel, no nothing. So it's a blessing as well, because now I can pour all my energy into the other business. Sadly, some of my other speaker colleagues have just been left high and dry.
But see, they could have spun.
Years ago.
They could have pivoted.
Years ago.
But they could pivot right now.
They are.
They could pivot right now.
Yeah.
Listen, I created a 10-day course in 4.5 days filming here in my home office that now has over 5,000 people on that course. Now, I gave it away for free, of course, because I'm in a financial position to do that.
Yeah.
But if I was one of those speakers and I didn't pivot, I didn't adjust to what needs to be done for this market, then I'm in trouble. Every one of us has had to pivot some way, shape or form. And I'm lucky enough to have one company that's gone through the roof in this thing, our commercial cleaning business. Holy heck, we can't keep up. We can't hire people fast enough and train them. But we've had to go to virtual hiring, virtual training, virtual, you name it. And then we put them into their Zoom suits. You know, it's like they got the full body suits, the whole thing to go in and do full on commercial cleans of.
And the cool thing about what's happened also is like the radical innovation, that gun to your head innovation adaptation that's happened as a result too, which is just amazing. You know, people had this maybe in their 1, 2 year, 3 year business plans, but now it's like compressed to a week.
Some of those dumbest ideas that I had last year, some of those crazy ideas, we went, yeah, let's not do that. We're doing them now. We're doing them.
We're doing it now. We're doing it.
And look, so, I think though that from a mental perspective, Trav, you've got to allow yourself the time to process the fact that the world is different. And I keep hearing people saying, I want it to go back to the way it was before. It's never going back to the way it was before. It's never, ever, ever, ever going back to that way. And you can see that as a negative, or you can see that as a, wow, we're never going back to the way we were before. How cool is that what we're doing now is so better and so different. I mean, you have to see it that way. And I know that's tough for some people, but that's just the way the world is right now. It's the way it's going to be. And
it's also allowed people to actually take a breath and also trim the fat on their businesses. Like you said before, streamline and
then now you got to slim it down.
And then look at the little 1%, 1% that change of direction that they can make, that they can pour into. And it's you would have seen it and probably would have known that so many businesses in the last recession were created. Airbnb as an example, Uber as an example. And I'm excited to see what's going to come out of this one.
Well, this virtualization of business is quite phenomenal, and I sat with my CFO literally today saying, I reckon we can decrease our office space needs.
You sat with Tony about all this?
On Zoom, yes, and I got my CFO on Zoom. I mean, it's amazing. There's a guy that hates technology, and now he's on technology and doing it well. But look, I think that what we've all got to do mentally, and if I can teach 2 formulas here today, Trav, I think there's 2 formulas that are very important to where we're at right now. The first of which is be times do equals have. Who you are times what you do determines what you have. In times of crisis, who you are shows up. Right?
Yeah, 100%.
I've always said there's certain things that multiply your character. Crisis is one of them. Money is one. Fame is one. Wow. Everything multiplies your character.
Yeah.
So if you're a complete jerk and you get a lot of money, you become the world's biggest jerk.
Yeah.
If you are the nicest person in the world and you get put under pressure of a crisis, you go to helping every single person in the world. And I'm not sure if you've seen the story of my wife. My wife is the nicest person in the world. This world goes to crap. Her business, which is sleepovers for kids, it's gone. It's literally shut down overnight. No one's doing sleepover parties for their kids all of a sudden. Well, my wife turns around and says, well, what are our skills? Well, we're great at sewing. We've got all this material. We've got all these things. Why don't we start making masks for people? And one of our friends who started the whole thing is a nurse at a hospital, and they couldn't get masks. And Lauren says, well, tell me what you need. And she said, all right, I can make those. So I think she's up to 500 masks to hospital workers and emergency workers that she's sewn. Her and her mum have just sat there and sewn them themselves.
So good. Right? So good.
And so character comes through. On day one of this thing, of me noticing this thing, on day one, and I'm not trying to brag, I'm just telling you what I did because I've done this 4 times, right?
Yeah.
Day one, team, webinar up, 11 steps to survive and thrive through this thing. And they're like, what thing? We're about to crash. The plane is not landing. The plane is crashing. Get this webinar up. And I did the webinar before lockdowns happened. And everyone was like, how do you know this? Because I've done it 4 times.
Wisdom. Yep.
And so that's, for me, leadership comes. And as soon as the market went, the whole thing, it was like lead. You know, all of my stock market positions, I'm lucky enough to have had a great teacher in the stock market. So everything for me was a 3 or a 5% stop loss. So we closed out everything on that first day. I mean, everything closed out as soon as, so we were cashed up and ready to go. And that's why we've had a great time lately, buying and riding the up days and selling at the end of the up days, and then watching the down days and then buying again. One
of the things that you said 2-3 weeks ago as well, which affected me in a great and really positive way, whether it be on your Insta, the drive time thing that you're doing on your Instagram, which is excellent.
Driveway time, because I can't leave the house.
Driveway time now, with a driveway time with a wine in the car. It's a good look. What's a rum? I should correct me. That it's. But what you said is leaders need to be seen right now. And that changed the game for me. I just got on the front foot and went into my communities and just got on the front foot, produced more content. How can I help you? How can we be of service to people? So all of our bucket list coaches have been greatly affected by that one message, but that had to start from me as a leader.
Well, and the coaches are affected, and then their clients are affected, and their friends and their family are affected. And, you know, but if you're going to be a leader in times of crisis, you know, Winston Churchill didn't hide out in times of crisis. He was up there in the front, all the things. You know, the leader leads the charge, and they're the first one out. They're first one out the gate, and that's the whole thing. But B times 2 equals have. Who you are shows up right now. What you do resembles who you are right now, and you can sit and hide, or you can stand up and be counted in this thing and come out of it stronger, bigger, better, faster, more nimble, more agile. And you can see this as a reason to say, you know what? I personally believe my personal reach will double during this crisis.
Yeah, wow.
The number of people on my social media, the number of people who are subscribed to my programs, the number of people who want to hear from me will double. And I can tell you that very clearly because I've already seen it. All of my videos have got double the viewing. My podcast, everything I'm doing is double the number of people. Now, I'm working 3-4 times harder than I ever work. Because I know that in all of my companies, I have thousands of people relying on me to be the leader right now. And if I don't lead right now, then those people, their businesses die or their jobs disappear. And I told my CFO on day one, no one gets fired during this thing, dude. We go through this. We go through it like hell. I sat my people down on day one of this thing and I said, listen, some of you may have to take pay cuts, but we're getting through it. No one's leaving. Everyone's staying. And the fact is we now have 4 of our companies that have recruited more people. So we've hired more people in 4 companies and you know, we just have to because we're pushing. I sat with all my executive teams the other day and I asked them a question, hunker down or run? And one of my team who's been with me about 19 years, he just looked at me and he's through Zoom, he looked at me and he said, why would you even ask that question? It's not in our nature to hunker down. It's in our nature to run. So let's run at this thing as hard and fast as we can. Let's go and let's make it happen. Because if you look at Be, Do, Have, who you are, and that's who we are as a company. It's all of our people. It's everyone in our organization. Who we are is just go full tilt at this thing.
So your main company is called Action. So kind of
that's probably helps. Probably helps. Yeah, there we are. The Action Coach.
Look at the logo, kids.
But then I want to teach a second formula, right? Which is, if people want to write it down, it's dreams times goals times plans times actions equals success. Dream, goal, plan, act, success. I see a lot of people changing their goals for the year during this process. And if you're going to change them, you better double down on them. You better make them bigger. You better not reduce your goals this time. You know, there was a great saying once that was like, okay, if the situation changed, change the strategy, don't change the goal.
Love it.
And we've been that. Our marketing has totally changed. Like I sat and recorded a voiceover to a video last night, and I'll actually see if I can pull it up and read it to you, because I want people to understand how marketing is different today.
Yeah. Yeah.
If your marketing today is about sell and flog and deal, you've lost. You immediately lost. And you'll see that if you turn the TV on, anyone that's still running TV ads that were running pre-COVID and they're still running them today, they're about to get smashed.
Yeah, yeah.
Because those ads have no sensitivity to the current market situation
at all. Yeah, you're right.
And you know, I see it. There was a jewelry company running an ad for a Rolex the other day. It's like, you're right, dude. You know, change your ad, for goodness sake. Turn it into, you know, here at Fred whatever jewelry, we care about our customers, and we know you can't come in right now, but there's still special moments. And if you need jewelry, we're here to help. Call us up. We'll find the right piece for you. Do you know what I mean? Just shift your message, shift your sales strategy, shift your marketing. And that's part of that whole 10-day training. Is I do a day on marketing and a day on sales because of it. They're only half an hour a day.
Yeah.
But here's what I recorded, right? And I want to read this out because I want people to understand that the market is different from now on. I'm not trying to do this from my own perspective. It's just the market is so different. So this is a 30-seconder that has all thing, and I just do the voiceover, and I've got to read it, so I'll look away from the camera. World abundance through business re-education. Since 1993, Action Coach business coaches have lived that vision by helping business owners across the planet build great companies, create more jobs, and truly grow their communities. Real people getting real results. We've always believed that being in business should give you more life, and right now, we believe in something even greater. The abundance of the amazing business owners, the abundance of the employees in those companies, the abundance of providing free education to every business owner and every local or national business group globally, and the abundance of being there for you and every business that needs us right now. Wow. So that's our marketing message today versus 30 days ago. It's like, do you want to grow your business? Do you want to increase your profitability? You can't be who you were. Your business can't be who it was.
I love the overemphasis on the word abundance too. You know,
well, that's our corporate vision. So
you can't say that enough. Yeah.
So if you go back to that formula, Trav, you go back to that formula of dreams, goals, learns. Your business is all about the dreams and goals.
For sure.
You're helping people create that. And right now, anyone that's out of work should be working with a bucket list coach. Anyone that is furloughed should be working with a bucket. Any business owner that's on time out, you know, the planet's given you a 90-day time out, 30 to 90 days. We teach every business owner this is a 90-day plan. You must have a 90-day plan to survive, and then we'll be back to square whatever. It might be 100 days. It might be 50 days. I don't know. But 90 days, you're pretty safe if you put a 90-day plan together. If you can survive 90, you can survive 120. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
It's that sort of thing. But your dreams and goals are where it starts. And the people that are struggling right now, the people without the dreams and goals, they don't know where they're going. They don't have any focus. And I said this to all business leaders and all leaders across the planet, that you better give your people something to focus on right now, because if they don't have something positive to focus on, they're going to focus on something negative.
100%.
We put together this free training for business owners around the world, and we've had it shared now across the world, and there's 5,000 business owners taking that free training. We believe it'll get to 1 million by the end of 30 days. It's just climbing every day, the number of people. And if it keeps climbing at the rate, we'll get to 1 million people by 30 days. Maybe it'll take 60, maybe we'll only get to 500,000, but that's 500,000 businesses saved. The reason I say that is because every single day my team is asked the question, everyone vote, how many do you think we're up to today? You know, your job is to get this thing to, and so when you give people something to focus on, like in a week and a half's time, I'm doing another webinar on how to pivot your marketing in this time, you know, how to pivot your marketing in a virtual viral world.
So how can we future-proof, you know, how can we future-proof ourselves going forward if there's another corona?
But there will be another corona, but it won't be a corona. It'll be a housing crisis. It'll be an internet bubble. It'll be a Y2K. It'll be a something. Do you know what I mean? They're my four. So, you know, I don't know which one it'll be, but there'll be another one, right? And it'll be in about 7-10 years' time. So don't worry about it for right now. Right now, 90 days you got to survive. If you can get through 90 days, you'll be fine, right?
Yeah, great advice.
And then you've got about a 6 to 12 months of winter, economic winter, where you've just got to, again, survive, but find better ways, find new ways. But remember this, about a third of all companies out there in the marketplace right now are in absolute boom. A third of companies have doubled and tripled and quadrupled their sales right now.
Yep.
I was talking to one of my clients the other day. They're a conveyor belt company. They've tripled their sales. Their servicemen are working because you think Amazon still needs its conveyor belts running? How about FedEx? You reckon UPS needs their conveyor belts running? These guys, they've recruited, and their biggest problem is training people in time.
Yeah. Wow.
So don't forget that this isn't a normal economic crisis where every business has had a downturn. A third are in the toilet.
Yeah.
A third are in the middle that have pivoted. And it's a bit bigger group in the middle. It's a bit more than a third. And a third are booming like anything. They're doing more business than they've ever done. McDonald's is setting records every single day. Every fast food joint in the world is setting records every single day in their trading.
Yeah, crazy, isn't it? Crazy.
You know, the casinos are all shut down here in Vegas, so I buy shares in William Hill because William Hill's still taking bets and everything. You know, they're crushing it. I think my shares went up 40% yesterday in William Hill. So
what on that, like you've always been a big proponent of, buying other businesses, merging other businesses, and now there's a lot of possibly competing businesses that are up for sale or at least distressed.
There will be about 3 to 6 months from now,
and it's good buying. And what would be your advice?
It's not good buying; it's amazing
buying. So,
but see, you can buy the business, or you can just buy the customers.
Yeah, true.
Because the customers, because when those businesses fail, right, and they will, 20 to 30% of businesses will fail during this crisis. It's just going to happen. I feel for them. I'd love to help them. I've given my free training program if they want it. Hopefully they can chat with one of my coaches for free. I can get them through this stuff. But when their business goes up for sale, many of them won't sell because there's just nothing really to buy. But all of their customers have to buy from someone else. In 2008, we had 4 or 5 of our companies that grew by 30, 40, 50% between 8 and 10 because all those other companies went broke. Their customers still needed to buy somewhere. They still needed to buy stuff. So people still got to eat right now, you know?
That's where you and I have a little discussion offline and we talk about bucket list travel, because there's a few travel companies out there right now
that we need to buy. Correct. Mate, listen, I think, Trav, if you sit down and you look at the mentality of what happens in this crisis, there is a mentality that is those people who are just opportunists and they do it totally wrong. They have no heart, no soul, and they just opportunists. And they might make some money, but they also gain some karma. On the other end of the scale, there's the people that just head in the sand, bury themselves under, and they won't get out of this thing until 2025. You know, they've just buried their heads in the sand. Yeah. And then there's those people who go, listen, I got to shift. I got to change. I got to do something different. I got to take action. I got to take action now. I can't wait. I must do something. But to do that, I got to get some new knowledge. Where am I going to get the new knowledge from? I'm going to learn how to build my bucket list. I'm going to learn how to build my goals and dreams. And so that when I do set a new plan to come out of this thing, I'm not coming out of this to do the same thing I used to do. I'm coming out of this to do what I want to do for the rest of my life, or at least the next 10 years.
Well, mate, look, you've been always been a mentor, a coach to me, and obviously you recognise these ones right at the back.
The original ones, the original ones. Here's
the original.
the latest. Hang on, I don't see the latest one up there, Trav. I don't see that one up there.
It's here.
Oh, it is.
Somewhere.
Oh, good.
Where is it? I don't know. That'll be here somewhere.
That's all right. That's all right. I trust you, mate. If you tell me it's there, I believe you.
Look. Anyway, we'll find it later.
So here's the thing.
It's actually right. It's actually next to my bed. There you go.
Oh, there you go. So you keep me next to your bed. Thanks, Trav.
With a pile of others.
You know,
so you're an author to how many books now?
17.
17. Latest Pulling Profits. You've got a lot of free resources. How do people connect with you, with your coaches? You know, what's the best advice you can give around that?
Coaches, jump on actioncoach.com, click the link where it says get a free coaching session. We're giving away, every one of my team is 5 hours pro bono during this whole crisis. So they're giving away 5 hours a week free to any business owner that needs it. And it's amazing what's happening because of that. And it's amazing how many jobs we're saving in companies because of that. You know, companies that were going to lay everybody off. And we're like, whoa. Let's work out how we can. And so we're saving a lot of companies, a lot of jobs from that.
That's so cool.
But for me, any social media, buddy, I'm on Face, LinkedIn, Insta, Twitter, YouTube, my blog on bradsugars.com. I'm not on Pinterest though. I'm not really that crafty. So
you would be on TikTok by now though, wouldn't you?
No, mate. TikTok's owned by the Chinese, and I'm never going on TikTok for the fact that every single thing on there is shared with the Chinese government. So that's probably a whole other debate around privacy. Whole other debate around privacy.
Do we go the conspiracy theory? No, we won't. We won't go there.
No, mate. I don't think you can go the conspiracy theory around anything and everything, and I think to worry about that would be absolute insanity.
We've got too many other things to worry about right now.
Oh, mate, there's too many things that we got to get on with and get done.
True. Mate,
speaking of that, I've got to go and help my wife put the kids to bed. So the baby and the twins.
I love her bit on the news the other day. It was good.
Mate, look, when Lauren's doing the great things she's doing, she deserves to be on the news. I think that's very true.
She's doing fantastic. All right, mate. Love to the kids, love to the family. Thanks a lot for spending some of your precious time with us here on the Bucket List Life podcast, mate. And I'll put all the links to Brad and the team in the show notes. But thanks again, mate. I'll speak to you later.
Take care, everybody. Stay safe.